The IELTS data table. You know the one. It can look pretty intimidating, right? Even for the most confident test takers. But what if I told you there's a really simple, foolproof system to master any table they throw at you? Well, stick around because by the end of this, you're going to have that system down. Let's dive in.
Okay, just take a look at this. I mean, it's a wall of data, isn't it? We've got 6 countries, a bunch of different years, 75 numbers in total. The first thing that probably pops into your head is, whoa, where on earth do I even begin? It feels chaotic. I get it. But trust me on this, there is a simple, clear story hidden inside all those numbers.
And this is how we're going to find that story. This is our roadmap. We'll start with the challenge itself. Then I'll give you a 3-phase attack plan. We'll talk about finding the main features, how to structure your answer, the language you need to use, and then we'll pull it all together and look at a perfect example. All right, let's get into it.
So let's reframe this whole thing. The data table challenge, it's really not about being a math whiz. Not at all. It's about taking what looks like total chaos and turning it into something crystal clear. So think of it less like a scary test and more like a puzzle. And you know what the best part is? Every single puzzle has a system to solve it.
So, what is that system for success? Well, here it is, your 3-phase attack plan. Honestly, this is the key. This is what will unlock a high-scoring answer for you every single time you see one of these tables.
And look, this isn't just what you should do, it's about how you manage your time under pressure. So first, give yourself just 2 minutes to really understand the task. What are the topics? What are the units being measured? Then, take 3 minutes to analyze the data. This is where you find the hidden story. And finally, use your last 2 minutes to plan the structure of your answer. Seriously, this little timed plan is your best defense against panicking, and it makes sure you hit every single key point.
Okay, plan in hand. Now we're moving on to phase 2, finding the main features. This is the fun part. This is where we put on our data detective hats and figure out what these numbers are really trying to tell us.
You know, the easiest place to start? Always with the extremes, the highest and the lowest. Just scan the table with your eyes right now. What's the single biggest number that jumps out at you? Yep, right there. 192 million tons. That's the waste produced by the US back in 2000. And just like that, boom, we have a main character for our story. Finding the highest and lowest values is always the fastest way to get to the main point.
Now, trying to describe all 6 of these countries one by one, that would just be messy and, honestly, way too slow. So what's the smart move? You group them. You look for patterns. And here, it's pretty clear, right? You've got your big producers, the US and Japan, and then you've got your smaller producers. I'm telling you, this one strategy is a total game changer. It basically structures your main paragraphs for you automatically. So, after that super quick analysis, what are the key stories we found? Let's just break it down. Number 1, the standout. The US is just a giant compared to the others. Number 2, the main trend. Almost all the countries show an increase in waste. Number 3, the exception. But wait, Korea is actually going down. And number 4, the dramatic change. Just look at Ireland's massive jump. These 4 points, that's it. That is the heart of a perfect overview.
All right, so we've got this story. Now we just need the right structure to tell it. And what I'm about to show you is the blueprint for a Band 9.0 response. This is the exact structure that examiners are trained to look for.
And here it is. It's a simple 4-part structure. First up, the introduction. Just 1 sentence where you paraphrase the question. Easy. Step 2, the overview. This is where you summarize those key features we just found. Let me say this again. This is the single most important paragraph in your entire answer. Then you have your 2 body paragraphs. And remember how we grouped the countries earlier? Well, here's where that pays off. Body paragraph 1, talk about the big producers. Body paragraph 2, talk about the smaller ones. It's simple, it's logical, and it is so incredibly effective. But listen, having a great structure is only half the battle. You need the right words to actually bring it to life. So let's talk about the language of analysis. Think of this as your vocabulary toolkit, because having the right words shows the examiner you can do more than just list numbers. It shows you can actually interpret what they mean.
Okay, here's a major tip for boosting your vocabulary score. Learn how to express the same idea in different ways. So instead of just saying, "it increased" over and over, you could say, "it rose," or you could say, "there was a significant increase," or "a substantial rise." See? Using a nice variety of verbs, nouns, and adverbs like this, it just immediately shows the examiner a higher level of language skill.
And don't forget, the task explicitly asks you to make comparisons where relevant. So you absolutely positively need this kind of language in your toolkit, using phrases like significantly higher than, using contrast words like while or whereas, and of course superlatives like by far the largest. All of this is basically you telling the examiner, hey, I'm directly answering your question.
Okay, we've got the plan, we've got the structure, and we've got the language. So let's see how it all comes together. We're going to deconstruct a perfect high-scoring answer, piece by piece.
Let's kick things off with that all-important overview. Just look at this. Notice how it perfectly captures our key findings from earlier? It says the US produced vastly more waste. That's our standout feature. And it mentions that all the nations showed an upward trend, but it also points out the clear exception of Korea. You see, it hits every single main point right there at the beginning. That is exactly what a top-scoring overview looks like.
Okay, on to the first body paragraph. Remember our big producers group? Well, this paragraph is all about them. It starts with the US data, using great vocabulary like rose steadily. Then it logically moves on to Japan, calling it the second largest producer, and points out its consistent growth. It's just a clean, logical flow, packed with specific numbers and that strong trend language we talked about.
So how do you handle an exception to the rule like Korea? A powerful transition word like in contrast is perfect. It's like a big signpost for the reader that says, hey, we're changing direction here. The writer then describes Korea's downward trajectory and, crucially, backs it up with the actual numbers. This is just a really sophisticated way to organize complex information.
And finally, let's look at the second body paragraph. This one efficiently mops up the smaller countries. It uses that awesome superlative language, rose most dramatically, to describe Ireland, and even quantifies it. More than an 8-fold increase. That's fantastic. Then it cleverly groups Poland and Portugal together to talk about their more modest growth. It's just precise, it's efficient, and it covers all the leftover data without wasting a single word.
So after all that, what's the big takeaway here? It's actually pretty simple. Having a clear system like our 3-phase attack plan is everything. It's what turns a complex, chaotic-looking table into a simple, compelling story. A story that's easy for you to write, and more importantly, easy for the examiner to reward with a really high score.
So the next time you're staring down a data table, don't see chaos. I want you to see the story that's just waiting there to be told, because you now have the system to find it. The only question left is, what story will your next data table tell?